Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Dinesh Kalyanasundaram from Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi. Today we are going to discuss about a module on differential calculus. So the objective of the module is to say what is differential calculus and the parts of the differential calculus such as limit and differentiation and the various applications. The specific contents are going to be followed by an introduction. We are going to see what is a limit, what is a function and its derivative, then how derivative can be termed as a slope, and see the graphical representation of slope, then the rules of differentiation, then a table of some standard function ending with the application. We are going to see what is the limit at a point. Graphically, you can see the point x on the right hand side, and then there are two arrows, one coming from the left hand and one coming from the right side. Now this is a tan x function. That means what is so it's the tangent of x, and when you are approaching from the left hand side, you are seeing the curve going upwards, a7, a2, a1, so those are the points. When you approach tan x from the right side, then you see it is going to the bottom, b7, b4, b2, b1. X here is pi by 2. So you know that the limit at x, if you approach from the left side, is somewhere going close to a1 or even maybe higher than a1. And if you go from the right side, it is approaching b7 going down to b1, and this a1 and b1 is not equal. So this means that the limit at x for the function tan x does not exist. Differential calculus. Now what is differential calculus? Differential calculus is the rate of change of related quantities when the changes are in infinitesimally small. That means very, very small. Okay. So this assumption is very important. You can't do directly for a very large change, and you will have to do step by step. Okay. Example, instantaneous velocity. That is the rate of change with respect to time for over a small distance of time and small duration of time and small duration of a distance. So that is meaning a small changes or infinitesimal small. It shows the dependence or the effect on the variable with the smallest change of the independent variable. Then we will study all forms of differentiation in a collective term called as the differential calculus. Some basic concepts used in differential calculus. So we want to go and see what are differentiable functions and not. The first graph shows a function f of x is equal to sin x, and you can see it is smooth and it's continuous and stuff. The second graph is continuous and it is having a sharp corner at f of x is equal to x, and this is a modulus of x function. That means f of x for any value of x, it will give a positive number. So it makes a sharp turn at x is equal to 0. Now these kind of sharp turns are very dangerous, because in differentiation, when there is a sharp turn, then we will not be able to accurately calculate the slope. We are going to see discontinuous functions. Discontinuous functions are similar to what we saw, tan x or 1 over x. These are all discontinuous functions, because when you approach the point from the left and the right side, it's going to be different. Now the second figure, 1 over sin x, again that is a discontinuous function. Between every u and an inverted u, inside that u it's continuous. So if you define 1 over x within that interval, that means closed interval, then it's fine. But if you just say 1 over x or 1 over sine x for the entire span, then it will become discontinuous function. Limit at a point. Mathematically, limit at a point is the value of the function when it approaches x. Okay, so you can approach x or any point on a curve from two ways, right? You can come from the right side and one you can come from the left side. The value of x can be approached from both sides. So we will have a right hand limit and we will going to have a left hand limit. Limit of a function will exist only if the right hand limit and the left hand limit are the same constant value. The need for a limit. Sometimes what happens, when you approach from the left side, the value may go to a different function, and when you approach from another side, it may have a different value. We are going to see some of the mathematical functions which are so different. Then we will understand that the limit does not exist. So the need for limit is limit helps us to visualize the behavior of the function on those points where the value of the function either does not exist or attains an intermediate value, like the form of 0 by 0 or infinity by infinity or infinity by 0. Limit tells the behavior of the function where we cannot find its value directly. Let us now understand what is a closed interval and an open interval. A closed interval is something that includes everything. Okay, so a closed interval between any point A to B will include the point A and B also. An open interval, which is always written with small brackets, it means A and B are excluded from that interval. Okay, in continuous and discontinuous functions. A function f of x is continuous when for every value c in its domain f of c is defined and the limit of f of x as x approaches c equals f of c, right. So end of the day we are saying the limit exists at any point c, so the function is going to be continuous, otherwise the function is discontinuous. So there is a function f of x as seen in the figure, and then you see a line which is drawn tangent to the curve f of x, and then we can consider for a small delta x what is the delta y, right, which connects. Then this becomes the word slope delta y by delta x. Now let us see the mathematical definition. If y represents the value of the function x, f of x, then the limit is limit delta x tends to 0. That means we are going to measure it so small, so much small that we are going to measure it in increments. Then f of x plus delta x minus f of x over the length delta x is called the derivative function of f at the point x. Okay, so it is also written as y plus del y minus y over delta x. That leads to delta y by delta x can be written as dy by dx. So short summary is limit delta x tends to 0, delta y by delta x can be written as dy by dx. The various symbols used for the derivatives are dy by dx or f dash of x or d by dx of f of x. Derivative of a function. The basic definition of derivative of differentiation is, the key point is it is a slope at any given point. The derivative or variable or quantity with respect to another variable is the rate of change of the first variable with respect to the other variable, or the effect of small change in the dependent variable over a small change of the independent variable. Example of a non-differentiable function. F is discontinuous for a function like 1 over x, and you can see when we are coming from the left hand side and the right hand side, the value is not the same, and there is a discontinuity. There is no point which connects between the left side curve and the right side curve, and this is the discontinuity. So this function cannot be differentiable in this region. Example of a non-differentiable function. When the function f has a sharp corner or a sudden turn. So f of x of modulus of x, if the function is the modulus of x, then this has a straight line and a sharp corner, and the function is not differentiable at this point. So if your region of interest covers this point, then it is that function is not differentiable. Example of a non-differentiable function. So the function f of x 2 minus x to the power 1 over 5, the plot is shown in the graph. If you try to take the limit or try to differentiate at x is equal to 2, if you can substitute there, it becomes 2 minus 2, which is 0. So if you connect the left over the right side, it is nearly not existing, or it has the highest of the slope. So the vertical tangent line, or when the function does not exist, we will not be able to differentiate such functions. Development of a simple derivative. Example number 1, let y is equal to x squared is a function of x, then dy by dx represents limit delta x tends to 0 del y by del x, and we can extend it further. We can write del y by del x as f of x minus del x minus f of x divided by del x. If we can, for y equal to x squared, then the function is going to change to just squaring the argument. The argument here is x plus delta x. So we square the argument, minus x plus del x squared minus x squared divided by del x. Then if you do all the computation and mathematics in this, then we will end up limit del x tends to 0, 2x plus del x. Then if you apply the limit del x is equal to 0, then dy by dx is equal to 2x. Approximate the derivative of y is equal to x squared at x is equal to 1 by forming small changes. So we are taking the same function, so that's why it's same as example 1. So dy by dx is equal to d by dx of x squared. Then by the differential rule, it is equal to 2x. Then at x is equal to 1, so you substitute x is equal to 1, so which gives you 2. Now y of 1 is equal to 1 of whole squared is equal to 1, right? Y of 1.01 is equal to 1.01 squared, which is 1.0201. That means this is for the y plus delta y. So therefore delta y is equal to 1.0201 minus 1, leaving to 0.0201. And what is dy? Dy is nothing but approximately del y by del x. It is going to be 0.0201 divided by 0.01, because that is the differential amount we are going to take, and that is what we are calculating y of 1.01 earlier. So when you do the equation for dy by dx, then you will end up getting 2.01. Del y by del x at x is equal to 1 is equal to 2.1, which is approximately equal to dy by dx at x is equal to 1, which is 2, right? So here is the point. So we are going to take a limit And then there is del y by del x, where we substitute for different arguments, and then which is equal to 2.1, and then we are calculating dy by dx, which is equal to 2. So this is a very critical understanding. We actually write all the time dy by dx is equal to del y by del x. It is not the same case. At very small intervals, the difference becomes negligible, but when you take very large intervals of time, the difference will be huge, and that is the reason why we have to make the del x as really small. Slope of a straight line. You can see a straight line between x1 y1 and x2 y2 is shown as black solid line, and then we can find the distance in the x coordinates, which is x2 minus x1, and y coordinates y2 minus y1. The slope dy by dx is given by y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Derivative of function, a graphical demonstration. Example 2. Plot the first derivative of the function shown below. F of x is equal to 3x between x varying between 0 to 4. Then we have f of x is equal to 60 minus 2x, then between 4 to 6, then minus 12 between 6 to 8, then 6x minus 60 between 8 to 10, or 0 otherwise. So you see the plot in the bottom. It goes as a straight line from 0 to 4, and then from 12 to 14, 4, it goes from the x value 4 to 6, and the value changes from 12 to minus 12, and then it stays constant for minus 12 from 6 to 8, and then from 8 to 10 it is again increasing, and then it remains 0 otherwise. Method 1, we can find the derivative of the function directly by observing slope of the function. So the function is given on the left side as discussed earlier. The derivative is going to be anything with x is going to be just vanishing with the x, and so 3x becomes x, and 60 minus 12x, any differentiation of constant is 0, so 60 differential is 0, minus 12x, because it has one x variable, it becomes minus 12. If we differentiate the same thing twice, then it will become 0. So minus 12 was the value between 6 to 8. The derivative of the function shows it is 0 because there is no change in the slope, and it's not about change in the slope, it has no slope. I mean, it lies very flat. Then 6x minus 60 is in the regime 8 to 10, and if you differentiate x, it becomes 6 times only, and 60 has no meaning in this. Then 0, if you differentiate, is 0. Method 2, alternate way to find the derivative of this function is to find the slope of the function graphically. So I have substituted and I have found the value of the slope graphically. So at point 0 to 12, 0 to 4, the slope is going to be f of y, which is going to be 12 divided by 4 as the delta x. So that will end up giving a slope of 3 until 12. Then it changes from 12 to minus 12. Then the slope is going to be minus 12. And it stays like that for some time. Then it becomes 0. Then it becomes 6. The third method is we can find the derivative of the function directly by doing differentiation. Dx by d over dx of 3 of x is equal to 3. D by dx of 60 minus 12x is minus 12. Then d by dx of minus 12 is 0. D by dx of 6x minus 60 is equal to 6. This is an example of y is equal to sin x. And we have calculated the blue one shows sin x curve, and we have calculated the derivative of sin x, and you can see clearly how the sin x red one, the derivative actually moves. If you see, it is just shifted by a 90 degree in phase. So so we have just calculated all the values. Y of x is equal to sin of x. By graphically we did the values have come and it's shown on the table. Now let us do something analytically. So the dy by dx can be written as limit delta x tends to 0 f of x plus delta x minus f of x by del x. So if you substitute all the values for a different value 0.1, then you are getting 0.99833. Then if you say limit tends to x, delta x tends to 0, then sine x plus delta x minus sine x by del x is equal to cos x. Differentiation rule. Differentiation of a constant function, the derivative must be 0. Now in the graph you can see the line y is equal to 2 and the differentiation of it is 0 because it just stays constant. It doesn't change with time. Example is y is equal to is 1, dy dx of y is equal to 0 is another. Power rule. Power rule is very important rule. Then if you are doing the derivative of the nth power of something, then it is only simply written as n times x to the power n minus 1. So x being the variable, not a constant. Multiplication by constant, a d over dx of c of u. If the constant is c, then if c is the constant, then it can be written as c times du by dx plus v times dc by dx. Since dc by dx is 0, it only ends up by du by dx. Example is d by dx of 7x power 5 will be equal to 7 times dx power 5 by dx divided by is equal to again 7 times 5 into x power 4, which is equal to 35 x power 4. We will see some differentiation rules. Sum and difference rules. D over dx of u plus v is equal to du over dx plus dv over dx. We separate the entities and we differentiate and we see how it behaves. If you replace plus v as minus v, then you get the second formula. The third formula, product rule, d over dx of uv is going to be, you keep one constant, that means you keep u constant, you differentiate v, so dv by dx, then you keep v as constant and then you differentiate u, so it becomes v times du over dx. We will see the quotient rule. What happens if d over dx is equal to u over v? One of the way to write this is, we use the same product rule, convert v as v power minus 1, then you know the rules, u times d over dx of v power minus 1, then you keep v power minus 1 constant and you differentiate d u over dx. Then you can substitute and you will eventually come out the formula right side, v times du over dx minus u times dv over dx totally divided by v squared. Higher order derivative, y double dash is equal to dy dash by dx is equal to d by dx into dy by dx is equal to d squared y by dx squared. So you can always write the second derivative as either y double dash or d squared y by dx squared. Similarly, third derivative can be written as y triple dash d cube y by dx dy differentiated double dash by dx. That is the third derivative. To find the derivative of function tan x, d by dx of tan x is equal to d by dx of sine by cos x. Then if you apply quotient rule, then you will come to cos squared plus sine squared divided by cos squared, which is equal to 1 over cos squared. What is 1 over cos squared? Secant squared. So we will end up having d over dx of tan x is equal to secant squared x. Differentiation rule. Leibniz theorem, if u and v are two functions, that means they are two functions, meaning they are dependent variable on x. Let us say the x is the independent variable. Then the derivative of the nth order is going to be d differential of nth order n divided by dx of n of uv is equal to, u to the power n into v plus NC1. NC1 is the combination factors. You can see that NC1 is equal to n, NC2 is equal to n into n minus 1 divided by 1 into 2. Similarly, the value of n keeps changing. Then the final NCn is going to be 1. And u to the power n means d to the power n by dx power n of u. And v power n is not v into n, it's not v times n, it is the nth derivative of v. So, nth derivative of uv is going to be nth derivative of u into v plus nc1 into n minus 1th derivative of u into first derivative of v, and similarly it keeps on going, and the final is going to be ncn u times v, that is nth derivative of v with respect to x. Rolle's theorem. Rolle's theorem is f of x is continuous in the closed interval a to b, and f dash of x exists for every value in the open interval a comma b, that is meaning not including a and b, and f of a is equal to f of b, that means starting point and ending point value is the same, not a is equal to b, f of a is equal to b, which means the value is same. Then there is at least one point where there is a slope which is 0, so if you differentiate the 0 slope, then it becomes 0. So if you see that one u, if you consider only one of that u, and this is, if you remember, it is f of x is equal to 1 over sin x. If you only consider one of the u and narrow it down, so you can see the top ends of the u nearly had same value. So there is at least one point where the slope is 0, and that's what it means. Existence condition. The derivative of at a point exists when a function f satisfies all the following conditions. The function has to be continuous. That is what we have been seeing throughout, that the function has to be continuous. It is a necessary condition, but it is not the only condition, right? So then what are the other key conditions? That's what we are going to see. The function should not have a sharp corner. That means it has to be completely smooth. And is these two conditions enough? No, there are some places where it will have indefinite slope. So the third point is the function should not have a vertical tangent line or infinite slope. If these three conditions, if any of the above condition voids, then the derivative of function of that point does not exist. Here are some examples where these conditions fail and no derivative is there for that point. Differentiation rule. So it's continuing the Taylor series. So the function a of h can be written as f of a plus h into f dash of a plus h squared by 2 factorial f double dash of a, and then you can keep continuing up to h power n divided by n dash f of n a plus theta h. Please note, h power n means h squared, h cube, h4 and h to n to infinity. But f of n is not multiplying functions f, but it is the nth differential of with respect to the independent variable of the argument is going to be a plus theta h. So the Taylor series, if f of x possesses all derivatives of all order and h power n by n factorial function nth of a plus theta h tends to 0 as n tends to infinity, then the Taylor theorem becomes Taylor series. That means the top one becomes Taylor series. So f of x plus h will become f of x plus h into f dash of x plus h squared by 2 factorial h f of double dash of x, and so on up to infinity. Another form of Taylor series replace x by a and h by x minus a. Then you will get the following form. F of x is going to become f of a plus x times f of x minus a into f dash of a plus x minus a squared divided by 2 factorial f double dash of a, and so on. Differentiation rule, Maclaurin series. If we replace a is equal to 0 in Taylor series, then f of x is equal to f of a plus x minus a, f dash of a, and so on. If you put a is equal to 0, then f of x is equal to f0 of x plus x times f dash of 0, and so on, and this is called Maclaurin series. Some common derivatives. So some common derivatives and key important derivatives of various functions are given. So you can refer this for any future calculations. A differentiation rule, Lagrange's mean value theorem. If f of x is continuous in the closed interval square brackets a comma b, and f dash of x exists for every value of x in the open interval a comma b, that means excluding a and b, then there is at least one value c of x inside a comma b such that f of b minus f of a over b minus a is equal to f dash of c. Taylor's theorem. If f of x and first n minus 1 derivatives of f of x be continuous in the closed interval a comma a plus h, and f nth dash of x exists for every value of x in the open interval a comma a plus h, then there is at least one number theta being lying between 0 to 1 such that differential calculus deals with the rate of change of a physical quantity, especially when the change is very small. This is a very key factor. Differentiation can be seen as the slope of a curve at any given point. Differential calculus has application in, but not limited to, optimization problem, relative change, motion analysis of particle, etc.